Good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday. So glad to see your faces this morning. Just take a breath and settle into this moment. This is the only moment there actually is. And so we center into this now, where God is. And we allow ourselves to fall into the faith that there's only one presence and one power, God, expressing as me and as you. Please join me here in this place. Here in this place, we come together, feeling the presence of God. Here in this place, one with each other, knowing who we really are. Then we are called to carry our light and shine it all over the world. Here in this place, we find acceptance. Here in this place, we find connection. Here in this place inside, we find the presence of God. We find the presence of God.
Good morning and welcome. We are proud to share our vibrant community where we stand firmly in faith in the presence and power of God. My name is Shannon Sable, and I'm happy to be here with you this morning. If you are joining us on the live stream, please know that you are a part of this wonderful energy and service this morning. In addition to the Sunday experience, we offer many ways to share these truths that we believe with one another. If you'd like more detailed information about our ongoing classes and activities, look on our website or take a bulletin insert with you. This morning, we welcome back Bruce Price. Thank you for being here, Bruce. And now please stand as we sing our opening song.
This is our last chance this month to sing these songs, so hopefully you know them by now and will sing out. And when you do, we're going to feel that energy. I stand in faith. We all have times in life when challenges surround us. Our worries fill our minds and fear consumes our day. It's never easy when we're standing in the problem. That's when we need another person who can say, I stand in faith for you. I hold the truth for you. For all those times when you can't believe, I claim the best for you. God knows what's best for you. I stand
Please remain standing and let us say our church affirmation together. We walk in faith together, guided by our inner light. Please be seated.
Good morning. My name is Barbara, and the daily word for today is freedom. And the affirmation is, divine wisdom, love, and strength guide me to freedom. While I may not be able to control what is happening around me, I have the power to choose my response. Even though it may seem paradoxical, assuming complete responsibility for my reactions and choices is the key to my freedom. No one and nothing can make me feel a certain way. Living from this awareness gives me the power to create my life from the inside out. I choose my thoughts, words, and actions. If I don't like what my life is showing me, I have the power to make new choices. I do not squander my spiritual freedom. Other people and worldly situations have no control over me. Taking full responsibility for my life, I am free to create my future by living from my divinity. The scripture for today is from 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 16. As servants of God, live as free people, yet do not use your freedom as a pretext for evil. Let us repeat the affirmation together. Divine wisdom, love, and strength guide me to freedom.
And now is our time for prayer. So begin to relax your body, settling into the chair supporting you, and breathe mindfully, inhaling and exhaling gently and easily, lowering your eyelids, allowing yourself to look within. Let us bear in thought these words of Myrtle Fillmore. She wrote in Healing Letters, "Prayers aren't sent out at all. Sometimes that is our trouble. Where would we send our prayers? We should direct them to our minds and hearts and affairs." So, prayerfully, let us open our hearts and minds to the oneness with all there is, to the expectancy of good in our consciousness. In faith, we claim guidance in all endeavors, abundant supply of divine love, and all that is necessary to meet every human need. We gain new understandings when conditions around us change, and divine love is clearly changeless and enduring. In Christ consciousness, nothing is impossible. And now, let us affirm these truths for our beloveds for whom we would pray. Let us take a moment to recognize the divine in all as we say their names aloud or silently. And as we continue to pray, let us join together in sharing our January community prayer, which is up on the screen. Together, anchored in faith, I place my trust in divine ideas as they flow freely to me. I recognize that wholeness, abundance, and love are my birthright. I am empowered to make choices that lead to my good. I know the truth, and I stand firm in unwavering faith. All these prayers, spoken and unspoken, are now released as we know with grateful hearts that we are empowered with the expectancy of a fulfilling future. My name is Ellen Severson, and I will be available after service along with Terry Brewer for prayer in the sacred space of our sanctuary. And you may also request prayer using the prayer box in the back of our hall or online through our website. And if you are interested in joining our prayer chaplain ministry, please see one of us after the service. Blessings.
Thanks, Scott. You know, you made that look so easy. And I know it wasn't, well, maybe for you, but I don't think so. Wow, thank you. Well, let's begin with a little time of meditation. Today, I'd like to use the meditation to practice the spiritual practices for this month that I've offered. If you recall, 2 weeks ago, the spiritual practice was to practice setting intentions. And today, the spiritual practice is to work on relax, or you can just listen while I talk a little bit about this, and then we'll have some time in the silence to practice. Setting intentions. Sometimes we take that as being a big, epic endeavor. We'll have all-day meetings with people. We'll get in a room, we'll have Post-it notes and whiteboards and work on this big, big idea, like let there be peace on earth, for example, something we affirm every time I've been in a Unity church. A big intention. Sometimes it's more about a mission or a vision. A mission or a vision. Work on expressing yourself more clearly. I've talked to folks who go into meditative states and have told me about how they have a council of elders that they convene with. Someone told me that Gandhi and Martin Luther King and Abraham Lincoln are some of the people I remember that were on their council of advisors. Is this better? Okay. I don't know if I didn't turn it on or... Well, I guess I'll stay in this region today, expressing myself more clearly. In any case, I'm just describing what I was just saying about the Council of Advisors because really, I believe the truth is that divine wisdom is a foundational source that we all can draw from in any moment. And we have a power of imagination that can decipher, interpret, and bring to bear that source of wisdom in any way we see fit. And who am I to say whether or not Gandhi really is in that room, in that moment, in that consciousness with that person, other than to say, I'm absolutely certain that they are. Because that's what that person is bringing forth, and that energy and that wisdom and that love is then interpreted, channeled, and made more specific for them. But what I wanted to share today about setting intentions is that I don't want you to only focus on those big ideas, those big things. I want you to focus on the moment where you simply pause. Because I'm working on the practical application of how we live. Because the second part of the song is, let there be peace on earth. That's the first part. And let it begin with me. And that begins with how I am in this moment with you. So I pause, just to set myself in that energy, just to set my intention on, yes, how am I going to be that expression of peace in this moment? So many times I act reflexively, impulsively. I forget my intention. Bless you. Again. And sometimes I think some of the best moments of my life were the time where I just took a second or two to pause and allow space for my higher consciousness to have a chance to inform and influence me. Just a chance. You know, I heard silly things when I was growing up that aren't so silly. Count to 10 before you respond in anger. Seems like a long time when you're really angry. But that's what I'm talking about, is just that moment when you meet someone. We're going to share more about this during the talk. But when it comes to setting intentions, I just want to give you permission to work on the incremental and the small baby steps that all build up to the crescendo of big things like peace on earth. And the second part is about getting clear. Most of our trouble comes from a lack of clarity, which ultimately leads to decisions. A lot of times when things don't go the way we want, it's because we weren't clear on our intentions, clear on our expressions of those intentions, and clear of what exactly it is we wanted to unfold. And so I want to take a few moments now, just a couple, to relax and sit in the energy of opening up to what it is I want to create and looking for clarity in it. Get clearer, for if you want to express yourself more clearly, you'll need to begin by becoming clear. So let's just take a couple of minutes in the silence to ponder this. Welcome back. I want to say Cotter. You know, I don't know about you, but when I go into the quiet, the silence, my mouth stops moving, but the conversation continues in my mind. And then it's interesting, some of the things that I ask myself, and I'll be like, just let that pass, just come back to it. Sometimes I ask a question and listen for an answer, and sometimes I just see if I can actually listen without answering myself. And then I wonder, am I answering myself, or is it the voice of God? And the answer is yes. Anyway, it's good to take time to allow space for wisdom. This month we're talking about faith, which is, it's not the power of wisdom, because we have a unique power that we celebrate of wisdom. But I think faith, which, according to the Unity look at things, is in the center of the brain. So there's a tendency to think, well, maybe it's a mental thing, faith. Well, I think it's very heart-centered faith. So I think faith is that alchemy of where intellect and heart come together, which to me is the foundation of wisdom. And that's fine, because all the powers are one, and we're just looking at them from different angles, like the facets of a diamond is how I like to picture it. But I want to bring us back to part 2 of this month's exploration of faith, at least by me. The part 1 was trust yourself, and part 2 is trust in others. And I chose to focus that exploration of faith, leveraging off the scripture of Matthew 22, verses 36 through 40, because I believe that we can interpret faith through the lens of the 2 greatest commandments communicated by Jesus. Just in case some of you weren't here 2 weeks ago, a little recap. So we'll start with the scripture. Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law? And Jesus replied, love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the first and the greatest commandment. And the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and the prophets hang on these 2 commandments. That's one of my favorite scriptures. I only really have a couple favorites. I can think of 3, actually. This one, 1 John, God is love. What a word. Love. If God can be summed up in one word, that's amazing to me. And the third favorite scripture I have is the one where Jesus talks about, I'm not special. I'm just like you, and everything I do, you can do, and greater things. How empowering is that message from Jesus? However, that was a bit of a side expression. I just wanted to share my favorites. I do have favorites. But in summing up last week, trust in yourself. I'm relating that to the first commandment of having faith in God, because I see ourselves as God made flesh, just like Jesus. So we then are God expressing in this realm. So if I'm trusting in God and loving God with all my heart, soul, and mind, then I'm also doing that for myself. Because I then am bringing forth that consciousness. And so when I allow myself to embrace that consciousness and trust that I am that expression, then that's what the commandment means in expression, in practical application. I am. Now, I am not always expressing at the highest consciousness. I am not always in full expression from the Christ. I am imperfect. Sometimes I don't trust myself. So we focus on our faith of trusting ourselves. And what is faith but what we believe? What we believe to be true. When I talked about faith, I did reference the Abraham and the covenant of Abraham, and shared from the metaphysical dictionary that Charles Fillmore created, channeled, whatever, put in place so that I could use it. Thank you, Charles. And it turns out that, sometimes I'm surprised by what I've known, forgotten, or never known and discovered. And so I'm thinking about Abraham, and I'm like, I don't know why I'm thinking about Abraham, but I guess it's not a big stretch to think that you connect Abraham to faith, since it's the foundational symbol of Islam, Christianity and Judaism. But so it's no surprise that Abraham stands for faith. In fact, even better than that, I shared what Charles shared about the metaphysical Abraham. Father of the multitude, the power of the mind to reproduce its ideas in unlimited expression, the ability of the mind to make substance out of ideas is called faith. Through faithful obedience to the inner urge of spirit, we gradually develop communication with the supermind. Then in various ways we receive the assurance we are guided by spirit. Those are not my words. Those are from Charles Fillmore. But yeah, I love that. And so how I translated that into a practical is that no matter what you're up against, whatever challenge you face, whatever endeavor you embrace, you're going to handle it. And haven't you? Is there anything that you've been faced with that you haven't handled? It's okay if you handled it clumsily. Yeah, because we are clumsy. I am. I could tell you stories. And sometime I will, but not now. So I just want to wrap up talking about part one by emphasizing that by trusting in ourselves, which comes right from the words of bringing forth divine ideas into expression, that's the way that we love God with all our heart and all our minds and all our soul, is by being our highest self. But it's nice to do things all alone. You know, when I am a team of one, we always do things my way. I'm a great team of one. I still argue, amazingly. But we get there, you know. But what would life be like if there were no others? And so what do we do with others? How do we trust in others? Well, you know, Jesus says, love your neighbor as yourself. All right, well, what does that mean? Well, first of all, how are you loving yourself? You really got to go back to part one. Are you loving yourself? Because it's easy not to. It's easy to get distracted by judgment. But we don't dig too deep on that. Just remind ourselves that we start by grabbing the oxygen mask and putting it on ourselves. Then we go try to save the rest of the plane. Or jump on the slide and get out of there. Did you see recently where that happened? Was it in Japan? I think it was in Japan. And the plane caught fire. I mean, if you see the video, you're like, how could anybody live through that? That looked really scary. And yet, every single person got out of there okay. There might have been injuries, but nobody was consumed in the eternal flame. They stayed calm. They trusted. There must have been a lot of trust, because usually when I'm in a crowd, there's panic. And everybody's worried about themselves, and all I'm saying is that's an example, like, it's so important to trust. Know the other person is going to do what you would do, which is take care of themselves, help them, guide them. So that leads me to just emphasize how much trust is a choice. I've said many times, I just don't trust them, without taking full responsibility that I'm choosing not to trust someone or something. And yet we trust all the time. I love my example of driving down the highway, being safely protected by the barrier of that thin yellow line between me and the oncoming cars going 50, 60, 70 miles per hour. And not even thinking twice about it. To me, that emphasizes that trust is a choice. We choose to trust or not. We trust the pilot who's flying the plane, that he's going to get us there safely rather than crash into the mountain. arguably, there are a few exceptional cases where a pilot has purposely driven a plane into a mountain. That's a bit sad. Everybody has some craziness. It can happen, is all I'm saying. So trust isn't perfect. Sometimes the person will not fulfill the high idea you have for them. But that is not what we want to focus on, because that's extremely rare. And there are other things that led up to that we probably could have helped with if we were being that peace on earth beginning with me. So when I talk about trusting in others, I want to share something that happened to me as recently as this week. I find when I'm in the energy of sharing about, well, talking to you, let's just say, and I get an idea, and I'm not sure what it's all about, and then the idea just seems like it attracts more ideas. So this is a bit of a divine mind process for me. So I was having a conversation with a friend, and who will remain unnamed, in case they become an enemy. Joking. But I didn't realize the profoundness of this until a few days after the fact. They were quizzing me about what it's like to take care of my dog, and what, how much of my time is necessary to tend to the dog. I don't know if any of you know Cookie that well, but if you meet her, you'll understand why she owns me. And this person shared after that, they were, I guess, maybe a little impressed with my devotion, but they said, that's not for me. That's why I have cats. And so they're a cat person. And I thought, in reflection, how easy it is for that to become an opportunity for distrust. And I'm not talking about distrusting the cats. We know they're evil. That goes without saying. There's so much out there about the whole cat and dog thing, and I hope you find it humorous, because humor is the elixir of the soul, in my opinion. But I want to stick back to that differentiation. So, there are online battles, if we'll call it that. I think most of it's in good fun. Some people are more serious than others, about cat people versus dog people, and how could they possibly even understand each other? You see how divisions line up. We see ourselves as our differences, not our unities. So in thinking about that, I thought about a concept that's forming for me called the tree of truth. When I thought more, and even in this conversation, I had the presence of mind to bring it up, because I noticed that we were different, and we could have gone on and on about it, but what I recognized is that we both appreciate one thing, which is that embracing the love of a pet and sharing it the other way. And isn't it grand? They love us, we love them, and they enrich our lives, and I think to some degree they raise our consciousness, pets. At least dogs and cats. I'm not sure about the spiders thing, but back to the tree of truth. So we say there's one truth, one absolute truth. That's the trunk of the tree. And then I thought, and I haven't gone too far into the roots of the tree, but I know that it's founded in the Creator, and it springs forth into expression above the ground. That's us. There's a tree of truth, and we're all springing forth from that. But the tree comes up, and there are limbs that go off, and there's branches that go off, and eventually there's leaves. And every single one of us is a leaf on that tree of truth. And when we're looking at each other as leaves, we look different. Yeah, we're pretty similar. We all have, well, most of us have 4 appendages and a head. Some of us have hair, a lot of hair. Some of us have not as much, and then hair grows other places. But we're more or less similar. I was thinking mostly ears. It's just, I can't stop it, but we're mostly the same, and yet we see ourselves as very different. But if we go back the branches and follow it back, we're eventually going to find the place where we're one, the trunk of that tree. In this case, I didn't have to go all the way to the trunk. I think the branch that is pet lovers is far from the trunk, but I love the D-O-G-G-O-D thing about dogs, and I don't know what T-A-C means, but cat backwards means something. You see, I'm a little bit elitist about my dog love. And I bring that up for a purpose. It's very easy to get elitist about the things that you are embroiled in, have accomplished, and say, well, back when I was a cat lover. No. So it's important for us to get past that elitism of what I've discovered is the way. And if you haven't caught up with me yet, well, maybe you will. I'll pray for you. Have you ever heard someone say that? Like, other than not me, just now. So what are we going to do with this? This is all about trusting others, right? The tree of truth. I've had a couple other examples of that have landed lately. A fellow speaker made a bit of a reference to me, I'll say it that way, and because I had offered a question in a message. The question had to do with whether or not we choose to be born. And that person was inspired by me to respond to that. And they did. I don't actually think I needed to be part of the conversation, but for some reason I was. That's a different subject. But in listening to the message, because it's very important to them that I listen to it, so I did. And what I recognized is, I agree with almost everything they had to offer. In general, I mean, about just how intentional our lives are. And he had some very interesting details about how that all unfolds. But what I came away from in conclusion that relates to the tree of truth is, he and I are one. It'd be easy to take this situation and put ourselves at some sort of a loggerheads, right? Oh, he's attacking me. That's all going to come from ego. I agree with him. I don't interpret things the same. But we are speaking from the same tree of truth. He's just in a different area of the branches. I would say that he is speaking more from, well, I'll speak for myself. I think I come from the side of the tree of truth that's about questions. I have a lot of questions. I choose my beliefs in those questions, but I don't project my answers onto you. I invite you to have your own questions and find your own answers. That's just me. Other folks feel very sure about things. So this person comes from the side of the tree that's very certain about answers and feels a strong desire to share their love by providing certainty to folks of how things are. I don't think either one of those is anything but pure love. It's just a different journey in God. So that's the second one. But the third one is more relevant to this church, and it has to do with a book that I didn't know about till 2 weeks ago. Where's Susan? Oh, there you are. Yeah, I saw this book. I said, that looks interesting. She says, you should get a copy. I said, is it on the Unity website? She says, the Truth Unity website. I didn't even know what that was. Do you believe that? Is there anybody else that doesn't know what Truth Unity is? Am I the only one? Holy moly. And I'm the one talking. That should give you some pause. Do you really trust in others? How much trust do you have in me? By the way, thank you for trusting me. By the way, and the reason I brought this book up here is, first of all, I love Reza Aslan. I like the way has anybody heard of Reza? Yeah. He had a short show on one of those channels, I don't know if it was CNN or something, where he was talking about God-type things, but he kind of got a little bit outside of the guardrails, and they shut him down. But great research in here, and one of the things he said is, the reason that we align into liking the people that feel most like us comes from primitive beginnings. You know, when you're the guy cruising through the bush and you come across a person that you don't know, what's the first thing you're going to think? Am I safe? I would think that's a fair first question. Is this person a threat? And they might be, because they might be hungry and you might have food and they might want it. And very primitive type beginnings. You guys can extrapolate. I think you can fill in the blanks. There's plenty of resource material. But eventually, we form community and we begin to know each other and we form commonalities of behavior and expression and appearance and et cetera, right? For example, I was thinking about, well, what if I don't wear the right outfit up here? Like, what happens if I show up in, like, shorts and a tie-dyed cut-off t-shirt? Are you going to trust me as much to give the message as if I wear the uniform of respectability? How much do we try to influence people to believe or trust in us by the way we show up and look to them? Or how about the language that we use? Do I use the right unity words? Or do I not? And if I do, oh, he's on the bus, even though he doesn't know what truth unity is, he's close. We'll pray for him. But what Reza says is that, you know, that's one of the things that's a benefit of forming church. Because basically you can get a short circuit to, well, he's a Lutheran, I'm a Lutheran, I can probably trust him. Because he, at least at the surface, probably believes the things I believe. So when we form church and worship, we can sort of normalize, okay, I can trust the people that show up here. It's those people out there I got to worry about. And we do that. And that's why we have Methodists and Lutherans and Presbyterians and Catholics and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that's just in the Christian fold. Way out on the branches of the tree of truth here. But if we start coming back. So the one thing about the first spiritual practice is when you meet somebody who isn't here, the person you run into in your life, are you going to trust them? And if you choose to, is the answer. But what I would like you to do is pause. Kind of reset that intention of, let there be peace on earth. Let it begin with me. They may look different. I may be a little concerned. There might be some fear, unfounded but still real. Can I reset the intention? Let me get clear. I might get clear. By the way, be prepared to love yourself because you might get clear of some prejudices. Wow, I'm uncomfortable because that person's wearing plaid. Sometimes it's that silly. I mean, but really, appearances have such an influence. Raise our consciousness above appearance. That's what we're here learning and practicing in unity, being of a higher consciousness. So give yourself the space to at least get clear on how you're judging. You don't need to dismiss that you're doing it or not. Of course you're doing it. But it doesn't have to become a problem. In fact, it's a useful thing, or we wouldn't have developed it, right? I'll finish by talking about what this man's talking about, Mark Hicks. How many people know Mark Hicks? Of him, at least. A few, yeah. What's that?
I said, and how could they all not have raised their hands to know?
Well, they might even be confused about what I'm saying. They might not even be clear that what I'm saying is specific to that. But thank you. Thank you for being willing to clearly express that. It gives us all more permission, not only to judge. You all have permission to judge. I'm giving that. But also to say, oh, wow, I am judging. And boy, I think that's a great energy to come from. Oh, wow, I am. Versus, damn, judging again. That's not going to help you. Don't take your vibration down and shame yourself. Go back to part 1. Love yourself with all your heart, your mind, and soul. Anyway, it appears there's a bit of a controversy going on around the world in unity between UWM, which is the organization that supports the ministries, and Unity Worldwide Headquarters, which is essentially what we call Unity Village. At least my current understanding is. And I haven't deciphered everything going on in this book yet. At first I thought I was tracking with it, then I felt like it was contradicting itself, and then I didn't like it, and I thought, well, maybe it's not contradicting itself, maybe I'm just not clear understanding what's being said. So I took a step back to realign, to stay open and understand. But apparently somebody at World Headquarters, Unity Village, got a little uncomfortable saying they were based on Christian faith or something like that. It's sort of funny. Even among pet lovers, we find things to pick at each other about. Cats versus dogs, when we all love pets, and they all require our care and love, and we receive in kind. Even within this room, we probably pick at each other. Well, they're too much into that, and we want to be more into this. We're way out on the skinny limbs, picking at each other, versus recognizing that we're all coming from the same tree of truth. And seeing, by the way, comparison is not a high level of consciousness. It's not. But don't judge yourself for doing it. Just recognize and reset your intention to go beyond comparison, to see more. A friend of mine who I quoted last time, Mary Ann, was having a discussion about this question, and she is inspirational to me. And she just said simply, well, I don't know about this discussion about Christianity. But she said, I wonder what would happen if they just simply said, based on the Christ. She said, because Buddha's the Christ, Krishna's the Christ, all enlightened beings that have come into place on this planet in our experience are representatives of the Christ. And so if we could just simply think about that, we probably wouldn't even have to have a discussion. Getting down to the trunk of the tree of truth. So I want to share words from Charles to conclude today. They happen to be referenced in this book in one of the things, and can't go into what point he's trying to make. But it underlines, I think, a gateway to trusting in others. And it's from a book, by the way, called House of Faith or Household of Faith. It was a biography written about the Fillmores. I'm not familiar with that book other than these references. The Fillmores had faith in people. They had faith in them because they saw them as God's children. They did not see the defects and shortcomings. They saw the spiritual potentialities. They saw the Christ Spirit. So if we can align ourselves, our intention, to look for and get clear on seeing the Christ in each other, starting with ourselves, I think we can get closer to the trunk of that tree, and we can be the emissaries of creating peace on earth. So that's today's thoughts. Is something going to happen? We covered that. Did we not? Okay. Just my old Toastmasters training, I was always told never abandon the platform. Now, I don't mean for me to keep talking, but I mean always to hand off to the next person coming. Is okay. Great, Scott. Yeah. You're going to play again? What a gift. Thank you so much. I'm just going to sit here now.
Throughout our service this morning, we have raised our consciousness into the knowing that we already have all the faith we will ever need. Our work is to allow it to be expressed through us. From that awareness, we now give with ease and generosity to this special place where we have received our spiritual inspiration. God is the source, and you are the channel that sustains Unity Spiritual Center. Please hold your gift as we affirm together. I am open and receptive to infinite abundance.
As soon as the offering comes by, feel free to stand up. You know this one, sing it out, your last chance here. Are you ready? There is more than enough in a universe that you created. There is more than enough on a planet of sacred design. There is more than enough for humanity made in your image. Here it comes, take it in. Why would I worry? Why would I doubt? Why would I ever think I'd go without? Why would I worry? Why would I doubt? Why would I ever think I'd go without? Your infinite love made me, made everything I see, and all that will ever be is your infinite love. Let my soul know the truth, whatever I choose to do, your infinite love will prove more than enough. Here we go. There is more than enough in a universe that you created. There is more than enough on a planet of sacred design. There is more than enough of humanity made in your image. Why would I worry? Why would I doubt? Why would I ever think I'd go without? Why would I worry? Why would I doubt? Why would I ever think I'd go without? Your infinite love made me, made everything I see, and all that will ever be is your infinite love. Let the world know, let the world know the truth. Whatever I choose to do, your infinite love will prove more than enough. Let's do that one more time. Your infinite love made me, made everything I see, and all that will ever be is your infinite love. Let the world know the truth. Whatever I choose to do, your infinite love will prove more than enough. What a great affirmation, more than enough. One last time, more than enough. Great job.
Please be seated. We graciously receive each gift. We bless every participant in today's service and every gift given. We give thanks to the loving God of whom we are a part of. Amen. Standing firm in our faith, let us share our empowering search team affirmation. All together, with open minds and hearts, centered in God's love, empowered in the truth that we are one in spirit, I am gratefully aligned with the highest consciousness of our new minister in divine order, and all is well. Unity Spiritual Center gives a portion of our offerings to several organizations. This month, we'll be giving 2% of our offerings to the Berea Community Learning Farm. We hope today's service has inspired you to stand firm in your faith and to share your inner light with those you meet. One of the great things about Unity Spiritual Center is that we offer so many different ways to practice our principles and deepen our ability to trust life and each other. The Healing Circle is after service today here in the hall. Next month, it will return to the third Sunday scheduled. And Vivian wanted me to remind you that all healers are welcome. The annual meeting is February 4th, right after service. Everyone is invited to attend, and members are invited to vote. The Lenten series, Let Go, Let God, will start on Ash Wednesday, February 14th, and will continue the next 7 Wednesdays. Come release old patterns and prepare for the renewal of Christ at Easter. Every week we have many opportunities to expand our spiritual life. I invite you to take a look at our website to see all of the events going on at Unity. We are glad that you came this morning. If you are here in person, come to the community room for coffee and fellowship. If you are on the live stream, you can still enjoy a cup of coffee in your PJs. If you're new, we are very glad you are here and look forward to getting to know you. If you would like more information about Unity Spiritual Center, please take a welcome bag in the foyer. Our guest speaker next week is Michelle Coles, and our soloist is Eric Fancher. Please stand as we sing our closing song.
And here comes our youth.
Remember in each moment that we are the light of God expressing.
Don't they look great? Let there be peace on earth, and let it be with me. Let there be peace on earth, peace earth meant to be. God has freedom, and we all are free. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment. This is the high part. Use your breath. Every step I take, let this be my joyous song. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. I am the light of God, I am the love of God, I am the power of God, I am the presence of God. Wherever I am, God is. And you're the light too. You are the light of God, you are the love of God, you are the power of God, you are the presence of God. Wherever you are, God is. We're all that light. We are the light of God. We are the love of God. We are the power of God. We are the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is. And all is well. Have a great week.